All right, good evening. So today we're going to talk about how to serve a Groff formatted document over the web. So as silly as that may seem, I think it's kind of a fun exercise and teaches us some things about how dynamic websites used to work back in the day and how you can sort of serve something like a markdown file as an HTML document without having to convert it beforehand. So we're going to sort of do this dynamically. And yeah, I don't know why you would do this. I think it'd be kind of fun. I mean, you can certainly do it to display man pages. So for folks who don't know, Groff is a document formatting system that comes pretty much with every Linux distribution, and it's used mostly today to make manual pages. However, you can make regular old PDFs and even websites. It can output to PostScript, PDF, to HTML, and some other formats, I believe. But those are the primary ones. So yeah, let's get into it. So we're just going to start out by going over just how to make a very basic Groff manuscript. So this would be kind of like a report or a very basic Word document. So I'm going to create test.ms, ms being for manuscript. So I'll come in here and we'll just create a very simple document. So let's say it has a title. And again, every sort of Groff macro package, the macros begin with these periods and then whatever the command is, and then generally the argument comes underneath. So this will be my test document. And then my author will be me, Matt. And then let's just have a little content. So this is some content. Okay, very exciting. So I'm just going to right save that. And okay, then the next thing I'll do is I'll just demonstrate how we would generally create a PDF using Groff. So you'll run the Groff command like this, and we'll tell it we're using the MS macros, and we have to give it a device, so what we're outputting to, and we're going to output that to PDF. And then we're going to send that output into a new PDF document, so test.pdf. All right, so I'm going to click enter. Oh, forgive me, I actually did not pass the file in. I'll have to pass the test.ms file. Okay, there we go. So that was much better. Then I'm just going to open up through my PDF viewer this new file, so test.pdf. And as you can see, it's exactly as you'd expect. It's a very basic PDF document. So that's great. But of course, what people might not know is you can also output this to HTML. So I'm actually just going to output this into the standard output. So instead of PDF, I will change my device to HTML, click enter, and look at that. So it's just a regular HTML document. And of course, if I was doing this in a CGI script, I could pass this from the server to the browser, and it would display as a very retro-looking 90s website, which is pretty cool. Okay, so I happen to have an Apache web server with CGI capabilities enabled. I'm not going to go over how to do that. There's a lot of tutorials on how to set up CGI. With an Apache server, it's really just turning on a module in a configuration file. But yes, that's pretty straightforward. But yeah, let's take a look. So assuming you have your Apache web server set up, I'm going to move this test.ms document over there to this server www and then I believe Apache. All right, and then I'm going to move over there myself. So let's go to server www Apache. All right, great. So there's my test file. And then you'll notice I also have this directory called CGI-bins. That's where all of my scripts are going to live. And so let's go over there real quick. It's currently empty, so let's just create a new CGI script. Let's just call it, say, serve.cgi. And in this case, again, you can really use any scripting language, but obviously we'll just use bash for simplicity. So I'll put my shebang up here, bin bash. And the first thing that we're going to want to do is, since this is going to be serving a HTML document over the HTTP protocol, we need to set a header So we're going to set the content header so it knows that we're actually going to be displaying HTML content. So we'll just say echo and then content colon text / HTML. And then there was a guy's video I was watching which is useful, which said that you also need to put a new line so that it knows that whatever comes after is no longer a header but the actual document. The next thing that we're going to do is basically tell it to run our Groff command on the document that we send to our script. So we are going to run Groff with the MS macro package. Our device is going to be HTML. And then we're going to pass a file. So we're going to do that through what's called a query string. So a query string is a lot like a sort of GET request where you pass some data into the URL and then that gets passed along to this script so it can process it. Obviously, in a real-life context, you would want to sanitize this string and make sure that there's nothing, malicious in there. Also, we'll need to provide an absolute path to this file. Again, you might want to put this in a truth jail, or there's like several things that you could do to sort of improve this, but this is just for demonstrative purposes. So for our purposes, we're just going to do a path to. We're going to assume this file is just going to be in the root directory of our website. Okay, so here's our script. Pretty simple. We're going to right close this. And then we have to make it executable. So we'll run chmod +x on serve.cgi and click enter. Okay, so you can see now it's an executable, so we can run this script. Fantastic. All right. Then I'm going to move over to the browser. Let's just pull up our trusty old Firefox. And we'll go over to localhost. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do /, and then I am going to go to our CGI-bin and serve.cgi, and then my file. So you can see I tested this before, but you can see by putting this question mark here, this is going to basically set some values to our query string. And in this case, we're just keeping it really simple. We're just going to pass the file name directly into the query string so Groff knows to handle it. Again, things can be more sophisticated. You can have variables, and then you can basically parse that string and do much more like sophisticated things with it. But let's just keep it simple for today. I'm going to click enter, and look at that. Our test document is displaying dynamically some HTML. And again, I did not actually have to convert that file, so it stays in its Groff markup, but we're just serving it through a CGI script. So that's pretty neat, I think. Anyways, that's all I had for today.